Brad Woodhouse, Communications Director at the Democratic National Committee. Sean Spicer is the Communications Director at the Republican National Committee. Well, it would be nice to let you guys hammer each other about various things. This is about me, not about you. So, Sean Spicer, let's talk about how much are you going to ruin New Year's and the holidays with this primary calendar? No, in all seriousness.
I want to know the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. I think we're all curious here. The primary calendar. First, walk me through. Everybody's got to turn in their plans for when they're holding primaries and caucuses soon. Walk me through the process.
So every state has to have their plan with the dates and the rules by which they're going to run their caucus or primary by this Saturday at midnight. And so we're on track to have all those plans. As you know, we expected a final announcement from Florida on Friday. South Carolina is going to announce a tentative date today at 11 o'clock. And then the other early carve-out states being New Hampshire, Nevada, and Iowa will subsequently give us some.
So you only had, originally the RNC rules was 4 carve-out states: Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina, and Nevada. Anybody that was going to go before March 1st got penalized, correct?
Correct.
And what is the penalty?
Okay, so first, those are actually rules set forth by both committees. So Brad and I actually,
right. You guys
bipartisanship.
Exactly. So both committees set forth those rules as you explained, and a state that is not in compliance automatically loses 50% of the delegates they have.
That's the RNC rule. That's not the DNC.
That's correct.
Rule. Okay. Yeah.
So any state that does go forward before that time that has a binding primary will lose 50% of their delegates.
And so Florida was going to lose 50% whether they went in February or whether they went in January. There's no extra penalty for
Correct.
Florida here?
Yeah, once you get
They'll keep the convention?
Correct, absolutely.
There's no way you would pull the convention?
The convention is in Tampa.
Period.
Full stop.
There is no change on that.
There is no change. There never would be. That was a set decision. Tampa, we look forward to having a wonderful convention in the DNC chairwoman's home state.
I want to
forward to it too.
Brad, I want to go ahead and bring you in here on the calendar aspect. Your state parties, while you guys work together, in some cases they're not working together with their Republican counterparts. State of Michigan comes to mind. Well, you guys don't want to see some states have early primaries. Is that fair?
Well, I mean, that is fair. We had hoped, look, we had worked together. We'd hoped that we could keep this calendar in place. Now, we do have, in our states, we have other means of holding we can hold caucuses where we would have held primaries to make sure that we follow through with our commitment to keep this calendar. But, it is unfortunate, but we saw this in 2008. So.
And is there any rule that you're asking Iowa to abide by about how early they go? Are you asking anybody not to go in December?
I think right now these states have to look at what's best for them. There are rules in terms of each state says that they have to go this many days ahead of another state, and so.
But New Hampshire bucked that rule the last time in Iowa. They went ahead and allowed less than a week between Iowa and New Hampshire for the first time 4 years ago.
Right. We do have a carve out for those first states, as you mentioned, and then they can internally work out some of their details as far as.
And quickly on the delegate thing before I want to get into actually some of what you guys do on your day jobs rather than deal with this calendar mess. Any primary that's before April 1st is going to be where it'll be proportional, which means if Ron Paul, let's say, gets 15%, he'll get some delegates before April 1 if it doesn't win a primary. But after April 1, it's whoever wins gets them all, correct?
After April 1st, the state gets to decide. So
so the state, it's not every state will do this.
So it is, they can either be proportional or they have
depending
the option.
on what the state decides.
Correct. They can be winner take all.
Okay, so that's where this delegate math is going to get a little bit complicated.
Getting excited here. The whiteboard's going to come out here soon.
Yeah, watch out. Here it comes. All right, let's talk about message. So David Axelrod talked about a Titanic struggle. Right. Part of this issue for Democrats has been enthusiasm. If your fundraising was down in August, their fundraising was down in August, the campaigns as well. What are you doing to try to fix this?
Well, look, first of all, let's talk about the fundraising. We did cancel a number of fundraisers in July around the negotiations over the debt ceiling, and that had a ripple effect in August. We didn't plan for the president to do joint fundraising events for us in August because we had them all scheduled for July. They were canceled. The Republicans continued to raise money throughout the debt crisis. I saw Eric Cantor and John Boehner in my neighborhood on the Hill raising money while they were negotiating with the president. But look, this is really going to come, Chuck, down to a choice. And it's a choice about whether or not we're going to follow the path that the president has set that has begun to turn the economy around, or we're going to go back to doing the things the way Republicans were doing them that got us into this mess in 2008. So part of getting enthusiasm in Democratic ranks is to say, look, we have a choice. It's time to, as the president said, stop complaining, stop crying, get to work. And he's getting to work.
Sean, you have a different enthusiasm problem. You have a base that's enthusiastic about defeating the president. but they're not enthusiastic about the candidate.
Oh, well, first of all, it's still early. And I would disagree. I mean, if you look at the crowds that these folks are pulling in, the number of people that are watching the debates, there is an enthusiasm to get to know these folks and start to align themselves. There is no rush to pick a horse at this point. As you remember, in 2008, at this point, Mayor Giuliani was well out in front nationally.
So Fred Thompson in second.
There you go.
Yeah.
But I think that you are seeing a ton of enthusiasm, as you said, on why, on the need to replace Barack Obama. And you know, with all due respect to Brad, you look at not just the enthusiasm gap where he is in terms of the money, but in polls, places like California, Massachusetts, New Jersey, he's under 50%. You look at the base, and day after day we see stories about African Americans, youth, Jewish voters, union workers saying we're not happy with this president. His base, all around from the coalitions to the states, is translating into the lack of support for fundraising.
I want to follow up though on Chris Christie here. Are you concerned at all that his flirtation, particularly if he ends up not running, but his flirtation diminishes the current field?
No. I think we have a great field.
With him or without him?
We have I mean, there is a great field out there right now, and people are getting to know him. I think, like anything else, people want to know who's in and who's out before they make a final decision, but I think there is a tremendous amount of excitement about the folks that are in the field.
You guys spend a lot of time beating up Mitt Romney. And that tells me you guys must be most concerned about Mitt Romney.
No, not at all. I mean, we spend a lot of time beating up people who are beating up the president. Mitt Romney has had a lot of arrows coming at us, and so we're returning fire. But look, Sean's got a lot bigger problems than the primary calendar. This issue that you've raised, there is a lack of enthusiasm. I mean, Chris Christie is not the model for a conservative Republican electorate, but there's a whole host of elites, Chamber of Commerce Republicans, Wall Street Republicans that don't believe that this current field is what they're looking for. And what you're seeing here developing is a schism between the Tea Party, which is really driving the Republican primary process, is driving, you know, what John Boehner and Eric Cantor are doing in Congress, and the elites that are saying, we just don't think these guys can beat Barack Obama. So they got more problems on their side than the primary calendar.
At the end of the day, this is not an open seat race. This is a president who has a record of 9.1% unemployment, 2.4 million jobs last, 41 million people on food stamps, and he has to defend that record.
I mean, you're about to channel Ken Melman from 2004. This is going to be a referendum. This is going to be a choice, not a referendum.
You're going to have to put up or shut up. You're going to have to put something on the table better than what you've done. Look, every time y'all come to an election, you blow off this playbook. It has, you know, tax cuts for the wealthy. Let's help big oil. Let's, you know, not do anything for the middle class. You're going to have to offer more than that this time.
I'd rather be us than them.
All right. Sean Spicer, Brad Woodhouse. Will you just get this calendar thing straight? We're all, you know.
Forward to Christmas in Des Moines, Chuck.
There it is. Thank you both.